CECOT wasn't built to comfort prisoners. It was built to break every distraction, every temptation, and every pleasure that once fueled the gangs of El Salvador. Inside its towering concrete walls, even food becomes a weapon of discipline. No sugar, no flavor, no freedom. Just two bare minimum meals a day, delivered with military precision, swallowed under the watch of armed guards and cameras that never blink. For most of the world, food is a choice. Inside CECOT, it's a reminder you have none. The trays that slide across metal floors are identical. Small scoops of rice, a spoon of beans, a flat tortilla, and nothing more. No snacks, no canteen, no special orders. Survival is the only item on the menu. Every bite tells a story of control. Every portion reveals the philosophy behind the world's toughest prison. And today, we're stepping inside that system to uncover what inmates really eat and why their meals are designed not just to feed them, but to reshape them. Before we begin, tap like, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us uncover the darkest corners of the prison system. Now let's step inside. Morning inside CECOT begins long before the sun rises. There are no alarms, no voices, no footsteps. Only the sudden blast of harsh white lights flooding every cell at the exact same second. It's not a gentle wake-up. It's a command. Inmates sit up instantly, back straight, hands visible, eyes forward. The day has begun. There is no breakfast line, no cafeteria, no freedom of movement. Every inmate remains locked inside their cell, controlled to the minute. The first meal arrives not because someone asks for it, but because the system decides the moment. Trays move down corridors under heavy guard escort, pass through the narrow metal slot that separates inmate from world. The inmates do not touch the tray until they are ordered to. Cameras watch everything: the posture, the hands, even the speed at which they take the plate. The routine never changes. Once the food is inside, they have a small window of time to eat. They can't trade food. They can't save it. They can't hide it. Anything left is removed the same way it arrived, through the slot, under watch, with zero conversation allowed. The rest of the day unfolds in silence. No snacks, no midday breaks, no chance to supplement the hunger that creeps back only hours after the first meal. In CECOT, time itself moves differently. Hunger is part of the structure. By late afternoon or early evening, the second and final meal arrives, identical to the last, basic, measured, calculated. Every second is scheduled. Every action is monitored. And every meal is a reminder. Discipline here is not taught. It is enforced one tray at a time. Inside CECOT, every tray looks almost identical, no matter the day, no matter the inmate. The food isn't meant to comfort, entertain, or reward. It's designed for one purpose only: basic survival under maximum control. Nothing more, nothing less. Each meal starts with the same foundation: a scoop of plain white rice. It's not seasoned, not flavored, and not mixed with anything. Just rice, cooked in massive industrial pots and portioned with military precision. Next to it sits a spoonful of beans, usually black or red, served without salt, sugar, or oil. Together, they form the core of the CECOT diet. Simple, repetitive, and easy to ration in enormous quantities. Beside the rice and beans lies a single tortilla, flat and warm, but always small. For many inmates, it's the only texture that breaks the monotony, but even that small comfort is tightly controlled. Sometimes, rarely, an additional item appears on the tray: a boiled egg, a plain slice of plantain, or a small serving of oatmeal. These aren't upgrades or treats. They're simply rotational items meant to meet minimal nutritional standards. There is no meat, no fruit, no sugar, no snacks, nothing that can be traded, stored, or used as leverage. Even the portions are calculated, enough to keep an inmate functioning, but never enough to feel full. Everything is intentionally plain. No spices that could be misused, no wrappers that could be hidden, no packaging that could be altered. The meal is a system, not a choice. What surprises many people outside El Salvador is how silent and controlled the process is. When the tray enters the cell, an inmate must sit, eat quickly, and remain visible to cameras. If food falls, it stays on the floor until guards collect the tray later. If an inmate refuses to eat, the tray is still taken back at the exact time. There is no negotiation. Every part of the food, from the small portions to the bland taste, reinforces the philosophy behind CECOT. Remove comfort, remove temptation, remove anything that once fueled the power of the gangs. The diet strips life down to the essentials, reducing every meal to a reminder that nothing inside this prison is meant to feel like the outside world. Even hunger becomes part of the discipline, part of the message, part of the routine. In CECOT, the tray is simple, but the meaning behind it is heavy. To understand why food inside CECOT is so limited, you have to understand what this prison was built to erase: power, influence, and the comfort that once allowed gangs to operate even behind bars. For decades, food inside prisons across El Salvador became a form of currency, traded, shared, stolen, or used to buy loyalty. A single snack could shift alliances. A piece of meat could pay for protection. Inside gang-run cell blocks, meals became part of the hierarchy. CECOT was designed to end all of that. Every grain of rice, every spoon of beans, every tortilla is measured because uncontrolled food means uncontrolled behavior. If portions were bigger, inmates could trade. If meals had variety, inmates could negotiate. If they prepared the food themselves, they would once again hold tools, heat, and positions of influence. The government removed all of it. The philosophy behind CECOT's food is simple: no choices, no privileges, no bargaining power. By stripping meals down to the bare essentials, the prison eliminates the social structures that used to thrive in older facilities. There are no leaders in the food line. No one controls the kitchen. No one decides who eats what. Every plate is identical, every serving pre-measured, and every delivery guarded by men with rifles. It sends a message the moment the tray hits the cell floor. You are no longer in charge of anything, not even your hunger. Control through food also plays a psychological role. When every meal is plain, repetitive, and flavorless, it removes comfort from daily life. There is nothing to look forward to, nothing to fight over, and nothing to bond around. Hunger becomes predictable, routine, and empty, not a spark for violence or manipulation. It also reduces energy. A minimal-calorie diet keeps inmates from building physical strength or maintaining high aggression. They are kept functioning but never fueled enough to challenge the system. It is a slow, silent method of maintaining order without constant physical confrontation. To supporters of the facility, this approach represents fairness. No special treatment, no favoritism, no opportunities for gangs to rebuild influence. But critics argue the system pushes human limits too far, raising questions about dignity, health, and long-term impact. Yet inside CECOT, none of that debate matters. The rules stand. The meals stay the same. And every tray that slides across the floor reinforces the same reality. In this prison, discipline isn't taught with violence or threats. It's taught with simplicity, one identical meal at a time. The heart of CECOT's food system isn't found in the cells. It's deep inside the industrial kitchen, a place inmates never see and will never step into. Unlike most prisons around the world, CECOT does not allow prisoners anywhere near cooking tools, boiling pots, or metal equipment. The kitchen is run entirely by controlled staff, guarded from the moment ingredients arrive to the moment trays are sealed and delivered. Inside this massive facility, everything moves with military precision. Long stainless steel tables stretch across the room, spotless under bright white lights. Large industrial cookers prepare rice and beans in bulk, each batch monitored and measured to ensure every portion is exactly the same. There is no creativity, no variation, no seasoning. Recipes never change. The goal is efficiency, safety, and total uniformity. The staff assigned to the kitchen follow strict protocols. Every ingredient is logged. Every tool is counted. Nothing enters or leaves the room without supervision. The environment is designed to eliminate any possibility of smuggling, contamination, or communication with the inmates. Even the delivery carts are inspected before the trays are loaded. Once the meals are prepared, they are portioned by hand into durable metal trays. A small scoop of rice, a spoon of beans, one tortilla, no extra servings, no mistakes. Everything is locked into covered containers before leaving the kitchen. Guards escort the food carts through long hallways, cameras watching every move. It's a quiet procession, but the tension is unmistakable. Food, even in its simplest form, must never become a point of weakness. In many prisons around the world, the kitchen is a place where inmates gain trust, learn skills, or take on responsibilities. But CECOT rejects that model completely. Allowing inmates to cook would mean giving them access to fire, knives, and storage rooms, all unacceptable risks in a facility designed to neutralize gang power. Instead, the kitchen operates like a sealed unit, one of the most controlled parts of the entire complex. There is no smell of spices, no laughter, no noise beyond the movement of metal trays and boiling pots. It's methodical, silent, purposeful, a system built on repetition rather than comfort. And that's exactly the point. In CECOT, the kitchen is not a source of nourishment or rehabilitation. It's another tool of structure, a place where the state maintains full control over the most basic human need, food. Every tray that leaves this room carries the same message as the last, reminding inmates that nothing inside these walls exists without strict oversight. CECOT's food system isn't just about what inmates eat. It's about what the diet slowly does to their bodies and minds over time. The meals are intentionally small, intentionally plain, and intentionally repetitive. At first glance, it looks like a simple survival diet. But inside the walls of the world's toughest prison, the effects run much deeper. Physically, the impact shows early. A diet built almost entirely on rice, beans, and a single tortilla per meal leaves little room for energy or strength. Inmates lose weight, sometimes quickly, sometimes quietly, as their bodies adjust to the strict calorie limits. There are no sugary drinks, no high-energy foods, no proteins that build muscle. Everything is designed to keep inmates functioning, never fueled enough to resist or challenge the system. Hunger becomes a slow, constant presence, a reminder that comfort is no longer part of their reality. But the psychological effects are even more powerful. In many prisons around the world, food is one of the few things inmates look forward to, a break in routine, a moment of comfort, a connection to the outside world. At CECOT, that comfort doesn't exist. Each tray is the same, day after day, week after week. There's nothing to anticipate, nothing to crave, nothing to enjoy. The monotony is part of the discipline. For some inmates, this loss of variety makes time feel heavier. Days blend together. Mealtimes no longer mark the rhythm of the day. They become another reminder of restriction. The bland taste, the small portions, and the absolute lack of choice create a psychological environment where the mind has nothing to indulge in, nothing to negotiate, and nothing to control. This is not accidental. The system removes everything that once fueled gang culture inside Salvadoran prisons. Food trades, kitchen jobs, smuggled spices, or meals used as currency. By reducing the emotional weight of food, the prison removes a major source of power. Critics argue that such a strict diet can lead to long-term health issues, vitamin deficiencies, weakened immune systems, and extreme calorie deficits. Supporters claim the opposite, that inmates who once terrorized the country shouldn't receive comfort or luxury behind bars. Between these two sides, the reality inside CECOT remains unchanged. Food here is not pleasure. It is not culture. It is not comfort. It is control, delivered twice a day, calculated to the gram, reinforcing a system where both the body and mind are shaped by scarcity. Outside the walls of CECOT, the world watches with sharply divided opinions. For some, the strict food system is a symbol of justice, a response to decades of gang violence that tore El Salvador apart. For others, it represents a step too far, a level of control that blurs the line between punishment and deprivation. And as images of inmates eating identical meals circulate online, the debate only grows louder. Supporters point to results. Gang violence in El Salvador dropped dramatically after CECOT opened, and many credit its extreme discipline as part of that success. To them, the limited meals are not cruelty, they are accountability. They argue that giving inmates simple, survival-level food is appropriate for a prison designed to end gang dominance. In their eyes, luxury, flavor, and comfort should never exist inside the same walls that once housed the country's most feared killers. They highlight the fairness of the system. Every inmate receives the same portion, delivered at the same time, with no opportunity for bribery, intimidation, or manipulation. No inmate gets special treatment. No gang can control the kitchen. For many Salvadorans who lived through years of fear, this is exactly the kind of order they demanded. But critics see a different picture. Human rights organizations warn that such a restricted diet can cross ethical boundaries. They argue that removing flavor, variety, and adequate nutrients can lead to long-term health issues that go beyond punishment. Some call it psychological pressure, disguised as routine. Others fear it sets a precedent, that if one country normalizes extreme deprivation, others may follow. Europe, the U.S., and global prison experts continue to debate whether CECOT's approach is a necessary response to extraordinary violence or a dangerous model that ignores human dignity. Documents, reports, and interviews spark arguments about where the line truly lies. What is acceptable discipline? What is excessive? What keeps societies safe without undermining their values? Meanwhile, El Salvador's president defends the system publicly, stating that comfort is not a right for those who once terrorized the streets. His supporters echo that message online, pointing to countless videos showing peaceful streets and safer neighborhoods. Critics respond with concerns about transparency, long-term effects, and the moral responsibility of any government running a prison. But inside CECOT, none of these debates reach the inmates. They don't hear the arguments, the interviews, or the speeches. They only feel the results. 2 trays a day, identical every time, carrying the weight of a global conversation that continues far beyond the razor wire walls. Behind every tray served inside CECOT, there's a message larger than rice, beans, and a tortilla. The food is not simply nourishment. It is a symbol of a new era in El Salvador. A country once defined by fear is now defined by control, and the prison's diet reflects the philosophy that built this massive facility brick by brick. To the government, the simplicity of the meals represents order. It shows that the era of gangs dictating life inside prisons is over. Food is no longer currency. It is no longer a privilege. It is no longer a tool for manipulation. By stripping meals down to the minimum, the system removes a major source of influence that once allowed criminal networks to thrive even behind bars. The uniformity of the diet mirrors the uniformity of the prison itself. Strict, cold, unchanging. For inmates, the diet sends another message. The past is shut off, sealed behind the same steel and concrete that holds their bodies. The comfort of familiar food, the taste of home, the pleasure of even the smallest flavor, all of it disappears. What remains is survival stripped to the bone. The food becomes a daily reminder that life inside CECOT is not meant to resemble the outside world in any way. It is designed to break routines from old lives, remove attachments, and erase the sense of control inmates once held. To society, the meals raise a deeper question. How far should a nation go to enforce security? Some see CECOT's diet as necessary, a firm stance against decades of chaos. Others see it as a step toward dehumanization, a system that reduces life to calories and obedience. The debate is complex because the consequences are real. A safer society came with a prison built on absolute control, and the food tells that story. But perhaps the biggest meaning behind the diet is what it signals about the future. CECOT isn't just a prison. It's a model the world is watching. Countries facing gang violence, corruption, and prison chaos are studying every detail. The surveillance, the routines, and yes, even the meals. The question is whether discipline through deprivation becomes a new global trend or a cautionary tale. inside the cells. None of this global conversation matters. What inmates know is simple. 2 trays a day, delivered without choice, flavor, or freedom. In those trays lies the core of CECOT's philosophy, a system where control shapes every aspect of life. And as long as this prison stands as one of the world's most secure and controversial facilities, its meals will remain one of its most powerful symbols. Inside CECOT, even the simplest meal tells the story of a nation determined to reclaim its future. 2 trays a day, no choices, no comfort, just discipline and survival inside the world's toughest prison. Whether you see it as justice or as a warning, one thing is clear. The system is built with purpose, and every bite carries the weight of that design. If you found this documentary powerful, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more stories just like this.